Hello, everyone.
Hello. I'm Melanie Carr, Vice President of Escapees RV Club.
And I am Travis Carr, the President of Escapees RV Club, and we're excited to have you back for another edition of the Virtual Campfire.
Happy New Year.
Yeah.
It's been a while since we've been
It has been a while. We took a little break over the holidays. It was a little crazy at the office as well, but we're glad to be back, and I think we got a great little show tonight.
Yeah. But we hope you all had a great holiday season.
Absolutely.
Whatever it was for you.
Even though it might have been strange. It might have been strange, but hopefully you made the best of it, and we're glad that you're here. So if you are joining us for the first time, you probably or may not know what a virtual campfire it is. It's something that we host. We kind of do a rotating topics. We do some interviews. We do give you some club news. We have some educational conversation as well. So it's kind of all around our little way to get together with the community and share what's going on.
Yep. And normally we start the show off with some general club updates before we roll into the topic for the evening. And so we have a few things we wanted to cover. One being we are getting a lot of questions about the vaccine, especially how that affects full-time RVers. So we've been trying to do our part, do a little research on some of those common questions that come up, such as, am I able to get the vaccine in the state I'm traveling through that I'm not domiciled in? So our team did some research, put together a little webpage where we share our general guidance for the research as we understand it. We do encourage everybody to do their own research, but you can find that information at escapees.com/coronavirus/vaccine. And there's also a red bar on the bottom of the homepage of the escapees.com website.
Yep. And so, hopefully that'll help you out. And like I said, we will be adding to that page as more resources come along and more information is found. But it's a good general information to kind of follow suit and kind of the general guidelines of what we expect to happen as this kind of comes to play. So,
and especially as things are changing, we will continue to update that because the guidance seems to change from state to state, from county to county, and changing every single day. So we're trying to do our best to keep up with it. So we'll keep you informed along the way.
Yep. Yeah. And also, if you do find any issues or do come across something, there is a form on there for you to report to us so we can be aware and address anything possibly that may be major or affecting RVers specifically. So,
yes. And we also have started to look forward to the second half of 2021 for our events again. We're super excited, and we hope, of course, we understand everything is changing. Nothing is certain at this point in time, but we do look forward to picking those back up. The best way to keep up with what we're doing and what we're opening will be on the websites, escapees.com and escapers.com. And the newsletters are a great place to see what's coming down the pipe as well and see when you can start registering for those events.
Yeah, I think we're remaining optimistic. You know, there probably will be still, obviously, COVID-related items and policies in effect during those events, but we are remaining optimistic that we're going to be able to pull them off at some point this year and make the best of it and have a great time and kind of celebrate getting back together again. So
yeah. And one that we did just open up, I know a lot of people have been anxious to get back to our in-person boot camps, and we feel confident we found a way to do those safely. We've held one at the headquarters in Livingston already this past November. So there will be registration opening for one in Dillard, Georgia. That'll be April 16th through the 18th.
And they will be limited in the number of tickets we have as part of our policies for that. So if you are interested, I would recommend that you check those out ASAP because they do tend to book up pretty quick.
Very quickly, yes. And along the same lines, we have the Escapade rescheduled for Rock Springs, Wyoming in July of 2021. And we are still working through all of those details for such a large event and how we're going to handle that. So we do encourage you to follow along the newsletters, the website. We're trying to get that information out as soon as possible on when we're going to start opening that up as well. What else do we have? Okay,
we got the office. Another holiday.
It does. It feels like we've had a lot of office closures lately, but nice.
I'm not going to complain.
Yeah, give everybody a little break in there. So the office will be closed January 18th for Martin Luther King Day. Yep. So if you have mail, be sure to get that scheduled beforehand or plan to have that sent out after the holiday.
And we now that we are moving back into our virtual campfires from our break, we actually have another one coming up on January 27th.
It'll be a webinar, yes, with Christine Willer's Staying Healthy in Your RV.
Which
she's fantastic,
I think coincides with the new year, and you're probably getting to that point where you may be already failing a little bit. I know we are at our resolutions for health, so maybe it's a good time to pick that back up and kick it off again. Yeah. Try again.
Check it out. She's great.
Yeah. So if you are joining along chat, we will try to participate with you guys as much as possible. Welcome, Camille. Glad to see you. And Debbie and Keith and Eric as well. So feel free to chime in, and we will participate and say hello along the way throughout the evening as well. So why don't we go ahead and bring on our guest for this evening, Mark Nemeth. Take us just a second to get him in here.
Hey, Mark.
Hey, there we are. Hi, guys. How's it going?
It's going good. How about yourself, sir?
Couldn't be better. We're going to play with some gadgets tonight?
Yes, absolutely. And if you're not familiar with Mark, it's kind of an honor to have him on the show. He is a longtime escapees involved with the club and the organization, and still is. He is currently our technical advisor. Correct me if I mess any of this up, Mark. I know you've held 1,000 titles. Technical advisor, but he was also previously our education director. He was overseeing our RVers boot camp, Smart Way. He writes magazine articles, and he also does gadgets, which I think ties in tonight.
Yes, and it's one of the most popular, well-attended seminars I've ever seen. Just at this point last year, we were at the annual bash, and you were teaching about gadgets, and the room was filled all the way out of the doors because everybody wanted to learn about what was going on. Yep.
Well, people love gadgets, and RVers need them because ours is a gadget-rich lifestyle, I think. And there are some really, really useful things I hope to show you tonight that may help make your life a little bit easier. You know, I like gadgets a lot, and I love the definition I read somewhere years ago that a gadget is something that fits in your hand and solves a problem. Simple enough. And that's what I look for when I look for gadgets. So are we ready to kick this off? If we are.
I think so, Mark. It's all yours. We will participate and kind of follow along and kind of ask questions. So if you are in chat or in the comments, feel free to leave what gadgets you like or that you use. We would love to hear from you as well as we go through this and share with your fellow members.
Absolutely.
So, take it away, Mark.
All right, cool. Well, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a treat tonight right off the bat. We have a gadget box coming out in the March-April issue of Escapees magazine, and you're going to get a sneak preview of that gadget. So here we go. This is called the Waggle Pet Monitor. Now, a lot of us travel with pets, and there always comes a time when you have to leave them in the RV. And if the weather is really hot or really cold, or if your pets have special needs, you worry about them while you're gone. And wouldn't it be nice to have some sort of a device that would help you, keep tabs on the environment that your pets are in? Well, the Weigel Pet Monitor does just that. It's a small device that just mounts in your RV, plugs into AC power, and this device communicates via the cell phone network, and it monitors the temperature and the humidity and the state of AC power in your RV. It's a real simple little device, and it works with a phone app that gives you alerts that you can set to your own personal desires, parameters, that sort of thing. And it will actually tell you if the temperature exceeds either of your set points. It also will tell you if power has been lost in the RV. And that can be a real handy thing to know, especially if you're running air conditioning on a hot day for your pets. I was really surprised by this gadget because it was just about as perfect an implementation of this that I have ever seen. I actually tested this pretty thoroughly. I live in an area that has marginal cell phone reception, and so I thought it would probably have trouble staying connected. I tried everything I could to get it to break its connection to the cell network, and I was unsuccessful. I even put it in my freezer for a few hours to test its low temperature setting, and it did not. It had no problem talking to the cell network. So again, this is kind of a nice little tool for you to give you a little bit of peace of mind. The folks at Waggle have been producing this for quite a while. You may remember it. It used to be called the Nimble Pet, and there was a Nimble Pet app. So like all these devices, very easy download the app. It's good for iPhone or for Android. And the app allows you to renew your subscription. It allows you to set your warning set points, etc. Now, the device itself is listed about $199 for the device. And then there is a monthly charge for that cell phone network-based monitoring. And that charge gets down, it gets down as low as about, I think about $12.50, $13 a month if you buy it by the year. But wait, as they say, there's more. The folks at Waggle have graciously offered us a significant discount on both the pet monitor and on the monitoring charge, the monthly fee. And that'll be available to Escapees members starting in March. So when that article comes out in the next magazine, be sure to check it out. And if you're interested in one of these, it's a good opportunity to get it at a very good price.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's amazing of them to do that.
Yeah, exactly. And hey, who doesn't love a good discount, right? And so, I mean, Mark, with this thing, I mean, I kind of really see this being beneficial to a lot of people in the sense, especially the boondocking community, but also just for those power outages that could happen anytime, severe weather or anything like that if you're not around or happen to be around. I mean, RV park electricity sometimes can be iffy as it is, just depending on the infrastructure. So,
absolutely. And the device has a built-in rechargeable battery, and it's capable of running on that battery for more than 24 hours. So if you are boondocking or you're away from electrical hookups, you don't have to have it powered all the time. And since you can configure the alerts, you can turn off the power out alert, for instance, so it doesn't bother you. It pops up about once an hour if the power is out. So it's really pretty adaptable and seems to be very well engineered. So that's one. Definitely watch for that upcoming Gadget Box in the Escapees magazine.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Perfect.
We need one now.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, Mark, we'll take us on to the next one. We'll looking forward to what other gadgets you got.
You bet. There's a lot of us RVers who have not yet adopted lithium-ion technology. I'm one of them. I love the batteries, love the concept, a little bit hesitant on the pricing. But hopefully these things will start to become much more affordable as time goes on. But for the short term, at least, most of us are still using regular lead acid batteries for our RV house batteries. And there is always something that has always bothered me. These batteries tend to fail because we don't maintain them properly. They're pretty stable. Most good quality RV batteries will last 3, 4, 5, 6, even 7 or 8 years if they're maintained properly. And the primary thing we have to do to maintain those is put water in them. That's all we have to do. But because of where they're located and because we don't think about them all that often, oftentimes these batteries are starved for water. They run dry or partially dry, and that damages them. So this is a device, and there are lots of different brands of this out here. I'm choosing a particular brand for this. It is a battery filling system that allows you to fill properly all the cells on all of your batteries all at one time from a single source. And it makes it very quick, very easy, and something that you wouldn't even hesitate to go and do. So let me show you one of these. These are all manufactured by a company called Flow-Rite. And Flow-Rite has been building these for many years. They make systems for 12-volt battery banks and also for folks who are running 6-volt golf cart batteries. This is a 12-volt battery one. And you can see it's a pretty simple setup. The Flow-Rite system goes through and simply replaces the caps on the battery. And then it has a small hand pump that you can use to pump distilled water, always distilled water, of course, into the batteries. And each battery cell has its own special little float that measures the level so that you don't under or overfill it. When the batteries are completely topped off, you can't move any more water into there and you're done. So that's a real time saver, especially if your batteries are located somewhere where you just really can't get to them. I've seen a lot of folks will use turkey basters and little fill cup shot glasses, anything they can find to try to get in there and get those batteries topped off. So these systems are very handy for that. They make them for both a 6-volt and a 12-volt system. This is an example of a pair of 6-volt batteries. And you can see the system is pretty easy. It can be installed by anybody, doesn't require any tools. And if you go to flowrite.com, you can actually configure the system for the number of batteries that are in your battery bank, and they'll pack it all up and send it to you. Now, these are available various places. You can buy them. Most online retailers, Camping World online sells them. You can get them in a lot of the Camping World stores as well. So it's something to think about. And please take care of your batteries so they can take care of you. There's nothing worse than running out of power when you're out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah,
yep, I would agree. And we actually have had that system on our previous RV. Our newer one doesn't have it because they're maintenance free. But they're AGM, so we don't put water in them. But it worked really well. It was really easy to stick the tube in the water, you pump the thing, and 10 seconds later you're good to go. No worry, no fuss or anything like that with that.
It's interesting. Most of these systems actually came from industry. They're used extensively in golf carts. They're used extensively in electric forklifts. So this is a well-developed technology. And again, you can find various manufacturers providing these. Definitely something that you might want to put on your gadget list.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna risk going down a dangerous road here with batteries, because I know it's a topic that can spiral out of control quickly with just comments and questions, because there's a lot to try to understand with our electrical systems in our RV. But I mean, what are we protecting here, and how important is maintenance? I mean, how much does a battery cost you? Range. I don't know if a lot of people realize that the check they may be writing until it's kind of too late. Could you kind of expand on that a little bit?
Right. I know that when I first started RVing, I had a fifth wheel, and I would park it in the winter, and I would go away and forget it, and come back in the spring and go, dang, these batteries are junk, man. They don't last at all. And that's what it was. They were consistently being charged by the RV's converter, and which slowly boils water off. And by the spring, they were dry and they were done. This is a very common problem. And anyone who says, boy, these RV batteries never last more than a year or two, I almost guarantee you that's what they're not doing. They're not putting water in them. I think the last time I bought a pair of 6-folders Trojans, I think I paid about $140 a piece for them. And that was a pretty good deal. So they're not real cheap. Properly maintained, especially golf cart batteries, if you're running those, they should last 6 to 8 years without any major loss of capacity. Mine typically do, now that I maintain them, they do last I get about 6 to 8 years out of them on an average. And I noticed Debbie asked about the fill system, how you know that it's time to stop pumping. What'll happen is the little valves on each cell will no longer take any water. So that little hand bulb that you're pumping the water in with will just suddenly become very hard, and you can't squeeze it anymore. So it's kind of a self-regulating system. You don't even have to see it. Yeah. All right.
What else do we have?
Well, we're talking about batteries. And, one of the things I notice is that my life seems to be more and more populated by devices that need to be recharged. It's just constant. I mean, you name it. I've got a Kindle and a phone and another tablet, and it goes on and on and on. And in the RV, they generally don't give you a whole lot of electrical outlets in RVs. I mean, there's some, but there's never quite enough. And when you use most of them up to charge all these devices, well, you don't have any more left. And I decided to get out of that problem by investigating what I can put in my RV to charge all these devices. And it turns out that both the automotive and the marine industry have us covered. They have lots of little devices that are designed to run on 12-volt power to provide charge sources for all of your USB-based devices. They vary from these little chargers. This is a 2-port charger, and as you can see, it's a nice compact little unit. This is actually one of the marine ones that has a waterproof, cover for it. Hopefully you won't need that inside your RV, but it does make it possible to install it someplace that's exposed to the outdoors, should you want to do that. And you can see it's a very simple little device. It's about 1 inch in diameter, and you simply drill a hole in a cabinet or a place where there's nothing to be damaged, of course. Drill a hole, slot that in, and tighten the little nut on it, and it's installed. They wire up very easily. They just require 2 wires, a positive and a negative connection to your 12-volt system. And they are very, very easy on power. When they're not charging, they draw so little standby current that you'll never notice that they're still on. And when they are charging, you're still only drawing about 1 amp. So you can get power for these from a light fixture nearby. You don't have to be an electrician to install one. That's where I'm going with this. They make a lot of different styles of these. You can get them built into panels like this one here that has multiple outlets. It has a cigarette lighter outlet and a switch on it. That's all fine and good. But when you start getting really into having lots of stuff that needs to be charged, then you need to go into things that have more connectors on them. And this is a good example. This is something you can buy that you just plug into an existing cigarette lighter, but it's kind of clunky and there's a cord and, it's not as neat a solution as you might want. So what I wound up with was a device that actually is designed to fit in a standard electrical box. It takes a standard Leviton wall plate and it provides 4 2-amp USB charge ports. The device is not real big, but it's kind of deep. But these can be installed very easily by just cutting the proper size slot or hole in an existing cabinet face or other area that, like in a dashboard. And then these can just be slotted in, connected up to your 12-volt system, and they'll provide you with a bunch of USB charge ports. I have a 4-port unit and a 2-port unit, and that seems to cover just about everything that I need. I can keep my cell phone charged at night. I can keep my Kindle on the charger. I can keep my Wi-Fi powered up. Yeah, so it's a really easy way to get away from all those wall wart transformers and dangling cords in the RV.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, we have kids, 2 kids, and we have our devices and they have their devices, and it gets really out of control. Really
when you said just like for the amount of charging devices you need for one person, yeah, we have 4 people in one house, and they all have something that needs to be charged. So that is a super nifty way to set it up. Yeah.
I'm curious.
Yeah, these are really, really inexpensive. They're literally, those little 2-porters are in the $10 a piece range, so they're very affordable. That Leviton style wall plate one, the 4-porter, is, I think it's about $25. And again, it's something that they're starting to put some of these charge ports in the newer RVs. But if you don't have that in your RV, you might want to think about picking some of these up. You can get them on Amazon all day long, eBay. There is a plethora of them out there. There are just a million different kinds, and they're all pretty much the same, and they all do pretty much the same job. So easily findable and installable.
Yeah, the fact that they're so easy to install is super appealing as well.
Well, yeah, I think that's definitely a big part. And the other part is, plugs in an RV are already precious. There's really not that many. It's not like RVs have tons of plugs as it is. And often where you want a plug is not where you can find a plug. So, using those 3-prong plugs for your actual, your computers and things that you need, and then using the USB for USB helps with that instead of, plugging your USB into that brick and then plugging that brick into the, the wall, whatever that thing is, whatever it does.
It took me a second.
You know what I'm talking about, the part that you plug into.
Absolutely. Yeah, and as I'm a boondocker, I boondock a lot, and so it doesn't make sense to run an inverter to power a transformer to create a DC voltage when that's what you got already. So these things seem to be pretty efficient. It's hard to measure how much current they actually draw, but it's very low. It's like in the area of about 1 amp to run both ports on a 2-port one. So an efficient solution for those who are conserving battery power as well.
Is there anything that you have to look for on those, in regards to kind of what kinds of devices you're charging through USB? Does it matter? Is there any kind of, or is it they all kind of work? For example, a phone versus, another type of USB charging device. I was just curious if I don't know the answer personally.
Most of these things are limited to 2 amps max, and so they will safely charge just about any kind of a device that requires a USB port to charge it. I really wouldn't be concerned about power amounts. Chargers run anywhere from about 0.5 amp of USB 5-volt power up to about 2 amps. So these things are pretty much universally compatible. Probably not an issue. And I thought a question about can you actually plug something into an existing cigarette lighter plug? I did show you this little one, which is kind of a 4-port, cigarette lighter plug type device. They also make some devices like this that are actually just all in one piece. The cigarette lighter plug is part of the case that holds the charging ports. So the entire thing can just be slotted into an existing cigarette lighter type connector, and you're good. You got 4 ports right there. So yeah, there's a lot of options. If you just look for 12-volt USB chargers, you can do a Google search, you can go to Amazon, you can go anywhere, and you'll be amazed at the variations and configurations that are available. And they're all really quite affordable. So charge it all up, guys.
Yeah.
Awesome. Very cool. Well, what's next on the list, Mark? I'm sure you got another fun gadget.
Oh yeah, we got lots of stuff here.
Need everything Mark talks about.
Okay, well, tell you what, let's talk a little bit about tire pressure. And when we talk about that, of course, we have to have tire gauges involved in it all. I want to show you something that is a rarity. This is a tire gauge, a trucker's gauge that I picked up. I actually found it in the back of an old Napa auto parts store. This is almost a collector's item. This is a Milton made in USA stainless steel trucker's gauge. They don't exist anymore. You know, to the best of my knowledge, there is nobody in the US that's making a tire pressure gauge. So I actually put my name and my phone number on this because I don't want to lose it. This is a unique item, and I've used it for a number of years and really do like it. But recently I had the opportunity to test a digital gauge produced by the folks at the Tire Minder. Tire Minder has done tire pressure monitoring systems for many years, and I actually reviewed one in the recent Gadget Box. I think it came out in January, February. But they sent me one of their tire pressure gauges, and I was like, oh yeah, another tire pressure gauge. I've looked at a lot of digital gauges over the years, and I've always found them wanting. Either they're not very accurate, or they're hard to use, or they're made out of little tiny bit, plastic. And I just was never impressed with them because I had, my old standby here. But I actually acquired a tire pressure gauge and tested it in the Gadget Box, and I'll show you what it looks like. Oh, that's not the picture I want. That's not it either. Sorry, I'm learning my ropes here, folks. I'll get it. There we go. Okay, the Tire Minder gauge is a digital gauge, and it's unique in that it comes with a pair of different style heads so that it can be adapted easily to fit whatever situation you have to check your tires. And I have to say that I was impressed with the build quality of it from the very first. It comes in a nice carrying case, and it has a body that is not plastic. This is actually a metal case on this. So it's very, it's not going to break real easily. Good quality overall. And we did some testing on this using our SmartWay program's calibrated air source. And we were thrilled to find that it was within 1 PSI across the entire measurement range, from 25 all the way up to 125. So it's a good gauge. Uses a couple of AA batteries instead of the usual little button cells. So that's a good thing. Lots easier and cheaper battery replacement when you need it. And it has a LED on it. When you turn it on, it shines a light right on the head so you can see where you're putting it. So something that's been very well thought out. It's really important to, make sure your tires are at the proper pressure on a regular basis. And that's something that I can't stress how critical it is, both to your safety and also for the life of your tires. So the best thing to do is to check those tires regularly. And if you have a gauge that works well and is easy to use, it's going to make you do it more often. And that's the most important thing. I like to check my tires, obviously, right before heading out on a trip. And then regularly, at least once a week, if I'm in a traveling mode. And different temperatures and different altitudes have an effect on your tire pressure. So it's important to stay on top of that as well. If you're coming from a very warm environment going to a very cold environment, you need to check your tire pressure.
Yep.
So do you have a tire pressure gauge, Travis?
We do. Now I have one,
right.
and I will say I've gone through several as well, several that I've just absolutely hated. I do have one that, the problem is knowing how to validate if it's actually accurate, like you're talking about. The problem is, I'm trusting the dial when I put it in there, but is it actually accurate?
That's that's a tough question. So without something that is calibrated as a pressure source, you really can't tell how accurate your gauge is. One thing that I've found over the years with testing gauges is that the less expensive gauges are usually the less accurate gauges. We've probably tested thousands of tire pressure gauges at escapades and at boot camp events, and we find that most of the ones that were in the $10 to $20 range don't check out very well on the tester. You're going to spend about $50 for a decent tire pressure gauge. So in some ways, price can kind of be a guideline for you. And there are gauges that can be purchased that are called master gauges. They're actually a calibrated tire pressure gauge. They're the same style. They're like a pencil style gauge, but they're designed and calibrated at the factory to be very, very accurate. Now, this isn't something that most people would tend to buy. And so that's why we did the tire pressure gauge testers for SmartWeigh. If you come to an escapade, you come to a boot camp, we'll have a calibrated air source there, and you can test your gauge for free. And if you find out it's 8 or 9 PSI off, we'll throw it away for you. We won't charge you for that either. So, and that's about all. You can't fix them. You can't adjust them. You just got to get rid of them and get a new one. But one thing I will tell you that, and also this was information that I gleaned from Neil Lickander, our tire engineer, who was part of our SmartWeigh program, is that this style gauge, these trucker style gauges, these pencil style gauges, they're analog, they are generally quite accurate. If you keep them clean, they will last pretty much forever. And if you go to a truck stop and buy one in the higher price range, one that's not made out of plastic, generally they tend to be pretty accurate across our testing experience. It's the cute little plastic dial gauge ones. A lot of times those with the hoses and the little triggers on them and stuff. A lot of times those are not quite so good. So the old pencil style gauge, for the most part, tend to be probably the most accurate ones you can find. They're all made overseas now, but you can kind of tell looking at them if they're of decent quality or not, just from the way they're made.
Yeah, I like the tip about the price point too, because generally you never know if that's accurate or not, but kind of from your experience, knowing you can look at the price range, it's helpful. The
price is a good guide to get a halfway decent tire gauge. It really is.
And I will say I was cheap on the ones that I absolutely hated and knew. I was like, this doesn't seem right. And I got a nicer trucker one as what I have now. And tires are so important. It's like batteries. So all these things you're talking about. If you make it easy and you take care of it, it really goes a long ways. Tires are another one of those items that, depending on what if you're in a 43-foot Class A diesel with a tag axle and all this stuff, tires matter a lot, and they can get really pricey if you don't take care of them. Very pricey. They're pricey on their own. You definitely want to get all the miles you can out of them. So.
Absolutely. You're looking at thousands of dollars in rubber to put new tires on one of those coaches. And more importantly, though, is that if you run a tire underinflated, okay, it may not look like it's underinflated, but if it's carrying less air than is required for the load it's carrying, what happens is not only does the tire wear, it also takes damage. It's a kind of a cumulative damage. The chassis or carcass of the tire can actually become damaged by that underinflation, and then fail abruptly thousands of miles down the road. So it's something that you really need to stay on top of. It's not super critical to be within 1 or 2 PSI of your tire pressure, but it is very important to make sure that you're always above the minimum necessary pressure. And I'm going to have to lecture a little bit because it's a SmartWeigh thing, and I'm still into the whole SmartWeigh thing. The only way to know what the proper tire pressure is for your RV or car or anything else is to actually know what the weight is on those tires. And the only way to really tell properly on an RV is to have that RV weighed by individual wheel weights with individual scales. And once you know what the actual weights are on those tires, then manufacturers have a thing that's called a load inflation chart. And all that is it equates the load on the tire to the proper air pressure to support that load. Because if you think about it, the tire is just an envelope for the air. The sidewalls are single ply on most of these big radials, but it's the air pressure that carries the load, not the rubber. So it's very important to have it correct. You can go above it, don't go below it, because going below it will eventually damage the tire and lead to tire failure, possibly a blowout. And we all know we don't want to do that if we can possibly avoid it.
Yeah,
yes.
That's scary.
Take that free advice, everyone. It's good.
It'll ruin your day. I'll tell you, if you're lucky, that's all it'll ruin. But yes, it's one of those things. It's just like the battery thing. There are so many things we can do that are really very simple and aren't really expensive or difficult, but it's remembering to do them, getting into a pattern where you remember to do these things over and over and over again.
I love that you said that earlier, that if you have something that you feel is reliable and it's easy to do, you'll get in the habit of doing it and make sure that you avoid those issues. We did have Joanne. Oh, somebody might have answered that already.
Oh, yeah,
Joanne, how much is the tire monitor?
$50.
Awesome.
$50. Yeah.
And I believe
it's a lot of money to pay for something, but not for something that's good. So, and I think you can probably find these. There are various sources to get these, but I would spend that money. That's money well spent, in my opinion.
Okay.
Awesome.
All right.
Well, what else we got? We're moving along here.
Yeah, we are. We're moving right along here. I'll tell you what. All right, let's talk a little bit about some other items. Tell you what, since we're kind of on a safety thing, let's kind of stay on that whole safety thing for another few minutes here. Okay. And I want to show you a device that I've been carrying around for many years, and it is a very simple device. It is a infrared non-contact thermometer. Pretty simple stuff. All you do is you point this at an item and push the trigger, and it tells you what the temperature of that item is. Pretty simple, right? Now, if you can't think of uses for this, I can give you a few. First of all, it's a real handy thing to have to go out, and as you're traveling, when you pull off to a rest area or take a fuel stop or whatever, is to break out the little IR thermometer and then go around and shoot each tire and each hub on your RV to see what the temperatures are. Now, we're not so much concerned with being within a particular temperature range, but what we're looking for is the wheel or tire that is out of the ordinary. In other words, if you, on your RV, you go around and each tire is at about 120 degrees, the hubs are at 100 degrees, you go around and then you hit one, the tire's 160 degrees. Guess what? You have a problem. You may not know what it is yet, but it's there. And this is why this device is so handy. It will alert you to something that's becoming a problem before it becomes critical. A good example, if you tow a car behind your motorhome and you have a supplemental braking system on that car, there are times when those braking systems can get confused, or possibly they were not properly set up or calibrated, and it'll cause the front brakes or the brakes on the car to drag. And this little device will show you that, hey, that hub is getting awfully hot. There's something wrong. So very good safety device. Now, it's a multi-purpose gadget because you can use this for just about anything. You may have noticed in our COVID environment, people are shooting you in the head with these all the time. And that's because they're interested to know what your temperature is. So they take a little shot at you and that gives them an idea. It's not really all that accurate. But where else can this be applied? Think about barbecue. Is your grill hot enough? Yeah. What about your beer? Is your beer cold enough?
I love that.
These when you're cooking, you want to do a fish fry at the lake. Check to see what the temperature of the oil is. The uses go on and on and on with this. Yeah. So these devices, you can buy these just about anywhere. Believe it or not, I bought this you can see it's pretty old and tired, probably about 15 or more years ago at Harbor Freight for $25, and it's still going strong. There are many sources. You can find them all over the place. In that $25 price range is what they usually are. Now, they may not be, laboratory accurate as far as the temperature that they display, but they're accurate enough for what we're using them for, and primarily as a safety device, just to make sure that things are especially rolling stock, wheels, tires, bearings. All these things tend to heat up when they have an issue, and so this will spot it right away. You can find it.
It's good to know that you think they're accurate, because that's what I was going to ask is there a variation, or are they things that need to be calibrated at all? How do you know what to look for in this? Because there's so many out there right now, and I've read very mixed reviews when you're looking at which ones you should buy. So I don't know if there was any method you look for when purchasing the right one.
I mean, for this purpose, you're looking more for a hardware side of things, not the health side. not for taking temperatures of people.
So close enough is good. Yeah.
Right.
And again, we're not really overly concerned with having real pinpoint accuracy and temperature, because we're not monitoring an industrial process that has to take place at 132.5 degrees Fahrenheit all the time. What we're looking for is variances, things that are departing from normal. And it can be a real handy device. I have always carried it and always use it on my RV. And it is very helpful because when I walk around the RV and do a quick check of all those tires, I know I'm good. There's nothing I need to worry about. So it's sort of a peace of mind thing. It kind of helps you in that way as well. And of course, the other uses like the beer thing. That's.
Well, I was just gonna say, you said it doesn't have to be completely accurate, but I'm like, I don't know, if I'm measuring my beer, it needs to be pretty close.
Not really, Travis. If your beer is 38 degrees or if your beer is 34 degrees, it's going to drink pretty much the same.
That's true.
When they ask him for his reason of return at the store, this is not accurate. My beer was this cold.
Funny.
And there's lots of other fun uses. I'm sure maybe some folks out there might have some interesting uses for the digital, infrared thermometer. But that's something that's easy to add. Throw it in your toolbox. It's a good thing to have around.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. All righty. Well, safety. Since we're kind of talking a little bit more about safety, I'd kind of like to show you something that many of you may say, well, I don't really need one of those. Maybe you do. What I've got here is a little weather radio. All right. Little Midland weather radio. It's a tiny little device. And what this does is it picks up our National Weather Service weather forecast broadcasts, and it also picks up warnings for severe weather. Why is this something we need to worry about? Well, let me tell you, RVs in general are built to very light standards. In other words, they're not exceedingly strong. Typical trailers aren't real heavy. Motorhomes actually do have more weight to them. But the reality is that if you are caught in severe weather and you are in your RV, you are probably safer anywhere else than inside the RV, because the RVs are built very lightly and they provide a lot of sail area so that high winds tend to roll them around and throw them around. And also if you're in something like a tornado or a severe thunderstorm, it's things that the wind is throwing around in it that can impact your RV. And again, they're just not built that strong. That's why when you travel in tornado country, there's always shelters. And most RV parks will tell you, if you hear, the siren go off, well, you better run for the bathroom because you don't want to be in your RV. So the best way to avoid being caught in your RV by severe weather is to have a device that warns you about this. And sure, most cell phones can easily be programmed to give you weather alerts. However, one of the first things that get damaged in a tornado, for instance, are cell towers. So when this severe weather starts to happen, you may be left without any real ability to know about it, to be warned properly. That's where these little radios come in. And as I said, this is a tiny little radio. It's something that will take up no room in your RV. It runs on a couple of AA or AAA batteries. And for its size, it is surprisingly good quality.
For this evening as of 4 p.m., January 13th, 2021. Today's high temperature was 61 degrees.
Pretty good sound from a tiny little device like this. This picks up the NOAA weather broadcasts, and it also has an alert feature on it so that you can turn it on and it will sound a alert tone when severe weather is in your area. Unfortunately, these little radios don't have the ability to program in a particular county or a particular locale, but still, just having that available for you is a really important thing. I've been places where if I hadn't had a weather radio and the ability to listen to it and pay attention to what's going on with the weather, I'd have been in some serious hurt. Even so, I've been hailed on, substantially hailed on a few times, and I have been caught by pretty severe weather while traveling. And so weather radio is a good way to be able to find out what's happening. If I could take a moment and tell you a story, I was parked in Sugar Land, near Houston, it's kind of south and west of Houston. And I was parked in an RV park, and it was, nice day and all, but I tend to listen to, back then it was weather radio. I really didn't have the ability to access the internet provided weather on a cell phone at this point, some number of years ago. And I always just checked the weather, on occasion in the morning. And, there was a tornado watch, and I was paying attention. I was a little concerned, and that turned into a tornado warning. And my little weather radio sounded a alert tone, and I turned it on, and it said there is a tornado on the ground in Sugar Land, and it is heading northeast. Well, I was pretty much directly in the path of that tornado based on that information. And so I made the quick decision. I jumped in the truck and hauled butt. I got out of there and kept on going, and going in a direction as far perpendicular as I could to the projected path. Well, it turns out that the tornado, which was a fairly good-sized tornado, actually jumped over the RV park I was in and touched down in a nearby storage yard where lots of trailers and other equipment were parked, and just decimated the heck out of that. So just a word, paying attention to the weather is really important, especially if you're in areas that do have severe weather, and that can be just about anywhere in the country. So you might add something like this, and it doesn't have to be this particular one, but a weather radio like this to your emergency supplies or your backup. And when you're concerned about the weather, this is a good source of information.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Another peace of mind thing.
Yeah, it's another peace of mind thing. And I think it's one of those things, too, that we could all potentially get a little complacent at. Speaking for myself, it's not something we think about when we do it all the time necessarily, especially in familiar areas. But the reality is the storms come out from anywhere. I mean, after going to Alabama to our plantation park that got hit by a hurricane, and seeing the damage and just, of the area and how RVs they're just not meant for that kind of weather, And as we travel around the country, we're not familiar with the areas and the storms that can come out of nowhere for those areas either. So unless you're checking weather channels constantly, which again we're not, because we're all a little lazy, sometimes. So it's just having something good to have on hand.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's leave the safety thing behind a little bit and look at some interesting funner things to play with.
It's a word.
It's much more funner. Yeah, I failed English, as you can tell.
That's awesome.
I don't know about you, but I really don't like mosquitoes at all. Do you like mosquitoes? I mean, they're really great, right? Yeah, you really like them. I've never met anybody that like mosquitoes. All right, so the best thing to do is to either go someplace where there aren't any, or if that's not an option and you want to be someplace that has mosquitoes, like East Texas, by the way. Do you guys have mosquitoes over there in the San Diego
cycle? Yeah,
nowhere near as
not
bad
like East Texas,
as
though.
Livingston.
No.
Let me tell you what, folks. I've been to Alaska, and we have mosquitoes here that are worse than any. Well, I wouldn't say worse, but certainly up to the same quality standards as those I found in Alaska. We have them right here in East Texas, and we have them all summer long. It is a definite concern of mine, and I seem to be mosquito candy because they just flock to me. They love me. So,
me too.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm sure there's a lot of you folks out there, same issue. So there are ways to make your life outdoors a lot less mosquito ridden. And I have been a big proponent of Thermacell products since the very first day I bought one. And this is the very first one that I bought. It's a standard, Thermacell. This used to be the only one that the company made. And you could pick this up in Walmart for about $25. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with this, I'll try to give you kind of a rundown on how all of these Thermacell devices actually work. Okay, first of all, this is a little handheld device that does not use any battery power at all. It uses a little propane cylinder to heat a little heating area. And then that little heating area has a pad of mosquito repellent chemical that slips in and out of that. And so the propane makes heat, and it heats the little pad, and the pad emits a vapor, and that vapor tends to keep mosquitoes away from you. It's very easy to use. They actually have a little dial on them and a little piezo starter, And you can probably see, if I can get this in the light just right, you see the little glow inside there? Yeah, you can kind of see it. There it is. That little glow is that tiny little propane flame that heats this little pad. So all Thermacell devices are pretty much operate on the same principle. It's interesting to note that the chemical that's used in the repellent pad is the exact same chemical that was used for many years in mosquito coils. Does anyone remember mosquito coils? Travis, do you remember mosquito coils?
I do remember.
Yeah, the incense thing, you light them and they burn around in the spiral. Or ash, and they break, and they weren't very easy to handle. Well, this is the same stuff, but it's in a much easier package. And I have used Thermacell devices in Alaska, and I've used them regularly in East Texas, and they make a huge difference. They will not eliminate mosquitoes, but they will definitely reduce the number to a point where you can actually be outside and enjoy it. Right. I found out about these from a hunter out here locally. Said, "Oh yeah, you got to have them. Got to have them if you're going to be out in the woods."
Yeah.
We bought one years ago.
Well, because you told it. We were like in
Wyoming,
the Gillette Escapade, like 8 to 10 years ago or something.
It was a while ago.
And we bought it immediately, and we were amazed with how well
even growing up in East Texas, I didn't know a thing existed.
Yeah,
I just dealt with it. But
it is a good device, and what it does, it provides about a 15-foot diameter circle of protection. And the way it works is it confuses the mosquitoes. It actually plugs their little noses up so they can't smell you. It's kind of a strange thing, but it makes them unable to detect you. And this doesn't emit actual smoke. It emits a vapor. You can almost see it in a bright light, but it's not offensive. Doesn't stink badly and all. But and I've used them, like I say, for many years. But the thing that bothered me is you have the little pads, and the little pads last 4 hours. And you have the little cylinder of propane or butane fuel, and that goes inside the device. And that lasts for, I think they last 8 hours. And the problem I had is I could never make the pads and the propane come out even. I'd have a new pad in there, run out of propane. It became kind of a hassle. And I've tested a number of their devices over the years. One was a lantern, I think. But what I found that I think is really a great solution for RVers, it's a Thermacell Backpacker. And what it is, it's actually a little device that was designed for folks who backpack, because most of them use these little propane cylinders to run things like a stove or a lantern. And these propane cylinders, you can get them anywhere. They come, pick them up at Walmart or whatever. And then this is the actual backpacker itself. It's just the Thermacell head. It has that same pad in it. Mm-hmm. It has the same little propane burner in it that the other ones do. But the cool thing about this is, with a tank this size, this little device will probably run for several years before you need to buy another propane cylinder. This actually is economical because it allows me to use the pad until it is truly and fully exhausted before I replace it with another one. So it's a great little device. I think it's a great one for RVers. It sets on a picnic table, and it's not in the way. It's not obtrusive, and it packs very easily into a compartment or a cabinet. And so I've been using this now. This cylinder is actually on its second year. There's still plenty of gas in it. I think it's going to last a lot longer, and I just think it's a real economical little process. And these guys are I think they're in like the $30 range for the backpacker. And when you go to buy refills, these are the refills. They come in a little foil package. It's a little blue pad. It's not terribly toxic. Wash your hands after you put it in, but I wouldn't chew on it. But other than that, it's not really nasty stuff. But the cool thing is you can buy a box of these little pads for the backpacker, and you don't have to buy the little propane cylinders. It makes them a little bit cheaper, and you get the full 4 hours or more out of each one, and you can actually, you can use this for a couple hours, turn it off, set it aside, come back, light it back up again, and it'll still go, and the pad will last for about 4 hours. So very good stuff. You might consider that for your summertime that's coming up here.
I've never seen that style before. And I will say, for the size versus, the first one you showed that we have, it's really not that much bigger, and for the amount of time it lasts and just the hassle of not having to deal with it as much seems much more.
It's actually it's very much in the same size range, and I just love the fact that I don't have to run around and replace propane cylinders.
Exactly.
When you first brought it out, though, I saw that orange nozzle, and I thought you had like a little baby flamethrower. I was like, I guess that works too for mosquitoes, but be safe.
Oh wow! A shout out to Carol. Carol, hey Carol, how you doing? I just saw in the chat, Scott and Carol, good friends of mine, got into some blueberry mead. Yes, ma'am.
Another one of Mark's many talents. Maybe one day we'll get you on here to do a mead class. That would be fun. But one of your mini
we could do that. I've actually done the mead seminar, and the best part is drinking the demonstration mead.
Yeah,
which is very tasty as well.
I can never complain, for sure. Well, we're getting pretty close to our time, Mark. I don't know if you had any other items, but I kind of think maybe we leave this open for any final questions while we're wrapping up or comments.
Okay, wow, that went quickly. I guess I was enjoying myself.
We did have a question from a while back from Joanne. A question from the Texas Winter Hangout. Would you rather use the tire gauge and infrared thermometer than trust the monitor system?
Okay, you're talking about like the tire pressure monitoring system that's installed in your coach or that sort of thing. I would trust the tire pressure monitoring system to monitor your tire pressure. It's a good idea to have a tire gauge because there are other things you may need to check with the tire gauge. And if something goes wrong with your tire pressure monitoring system and it has to be repaired or replaced, at least you'll have a gauge along with you. I have a tire pressure monitoring system on my coach now after testing one of the tire monitor units, and I still carry a gauge. But the IR thermometer does something that the tire pressure monitoring system tries to do but doesn't do a real good job of, and that's monitoring the temperature of the wheel and the tire itself. So the IR thermometer is a handy thing to have for that because although the tire pressure monitoring systems do report a temperature, they're reporting that temperature from the end of the valve stem where the sensor is. So that sensor is not really connected tightly to what's going on inside the tire or as far as what's going on the wheel or the hub. So in that case, this is a real good thing to have because it allows you to see something that you can't see with your built-in or your aftermarket TPMS. So good idea to have both and use them for different things. Did that get you? Hopefully it did.
I think it was a good answer. I'll go with it. So I mean, Mark, I know we kind of really just scratched the surface. I've seen your box of gadgets that seems to never end when you look in it, or reach down in it. But where can people find more information about what we talked about tonight, plus a lot more? Do you have a place that you've kind of collected this information?
Yes, I have. And one of the things I want to tell people, first of all, is that all the gadgets that we've looked at and many, many more that have been done over the years past, there is a place you can go. You can go to gadgetbox.escapees.com, and the archive of all the gadgets that have been reviewed by me are there. It's a great place to go shopping. You'll definitely wind up spending some money on it. And I do want to touch just for a moment on the fact that I've been doing the Gadget Knocks now for about 12, 13 years. I don't write about anything that I don't personally test myself, and I don't do negative reviews. If your gadget doesn't make my "that's a good gadget" point, then it doesn't get written about. So all the things that you're going to see in there, I have either personally tested or have overseen the testing by other qualified people. Like Jim has helped me, Jim Kocha, the boot camp director, has helped me test a bunch of stuff. It's a pretty good. Like I say, I put my reputation on the line as, hey, these gadgets are actually good. So don't worry about that if you want to go there and see them. But where do these gadgets come from? Well, in a lot of cases, I'll just wander around and find one. I'll be on Amazon looking for something entirely else and go, ooh, that's a cool gadget. But more than that, where I find out about a lot of my gadgets is from you guys, from you RVers out there. So if you can send me an email with your favorite gadget. You don't have to send me the gadget. You can send me a link to its information if that's helpful. but let me know what your favorite gadgets are. And you can send those emails to techquestions@escapees.com. And that's my normal email that I also do. I help you with your RVing problems. If you have questions of a technical nature about your RV or RVing in general, feel free to make use of that email address. I answer every email that I get, and sometimes I have a good answer, and well, sometimes I have to go, I really don't know, but I'll go see what I can find out. So I do actually get a chance to learn a lot all the time about RVing by answering folks' questions. So I'd love to have some new gadgets to play with.
And I can attest for that. If you haven't been in RV, Mark's RV, which I'm assuming most of you haven't, most of these gadgets are in his RV. And yeah, right. But he also has all kinds of cool stuff. Yeah, it's just pretty amazing.
I learn about something new every time we go over to his RV. It's and we also get to drink mead. So there's that.
Also get to drink mead.
Well, hopefully we can do this some more, because I've got a lot more gadgets in the box that we didn't get around to tonight, and there's always new stuff coming in. But I'd love to come back and talk about gadgets with folks again, and maybe sometime talk a little bit about boondocking too, because I love it.
There's all kinds of stuff we can talk about, especially with your knowledge. So I'm sure you'll be on again in the future, probably not too far in the distance. So but we have to thank you again, Mark, for taking your time to come on and share this information with everybody. And I'm sure it was greatly appreciated, which we're seeing a lot of nice comments as well.
Thank you so much.
To Renee, I hope I said that right. I am not a horse lover. My sister was, and I acquired the little, I can get out of the way of it. The horse hanging on the wall back there was a gift from her, or it was something that she had and it didn't have room for. I forget, but nope, not a horsey guy, but definitely a beer guy and a motorcycle guy. So.
All right. Well, thank you again, Mark, and thanks everyone for joining us. Don't forget to come back on the 27th of January for the next webinar, Staying Healthy in Your RV. Hope you all have a great night.
Awesome. Thanks again, Mark. Great seeing everybody in the chat.
Indeed. Thanks, y'all, and have a good time.